and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to today's brand new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And folks, after last night's 3+ hour primetime gaming, I honestly didn't know if we were going to be able to A, be functioning today, and B, be able to top it. And folks, I think we are not only going to top last night's incredible, epic 3-hour cast, but we have obviously two special guests. We do have two folks that are out, one of which, Professor 3-Bit, had some school stuff he had to take care of. And obviously, listen, it's real life, folks. It's just a silly podcast. He'll be back next week. Zemi Gaines, he says he's not feeling good. And I believe him. Zemi gets migraines as bad as I do, so I think he might be down for the count. Though there are some rumors that suggest that because we were going to talk about Alan Wake, scary game, he didn't want no part of it. But I will stand up for good old Zemi, the cog that keeps this show running each and every week, as saying that he had a migraine and that he'll be back next week. So feel better, brother. And of course, we're gonna introduce someone that's making his debut for the first time on this show. Any of the Double Barrel Gaming podcasts, for that matter, back from the dead, brother. Welcome. We've been talking in the back, and it's great to have you. You've been in the chat for many shows. I'm glad to have you a part of today's welcome. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, well, listen, it's great to finally have you on. I know that, again, we've been talking through DMs, and as a small show, folks, one of the things that I truly enjoy doing is introducing new voices to this community, because I think it's super important. Paying it forward to something that I was raised on, and any chance I get an opportunity to introduce someone new, I'm going to take that opportunity 10 out of 10 times. So welcome to the show. And of course, stepping up like he always does, from one of the better and certainly an Xbox podcast that you need to check out on a weekly basis on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mav, the voice of the Xbox Ultimate Podcast with the Magnificent Seven. Mav, how the hell are you feeling, brother?
Doing fantastic. Love to be here when I can and talk Xbox and games. It's awesome that Back is here. Yes. I love seeing him here on the show, and as always, Pong. Great to talk to Coach Pong with all this fun talk we're about to have, and shout out to you, Boom. Thanks again for having me here.
No problem, brother. No problem. And of course, Pong Soul, my brother from another, obviously now part of the Tuesday Xbox Factor Podcast. Pong, how the hell are you, Coach? Or have you got us ready with the pep talk for today's show?
Well, of course, Boom. Are you kidding me? It's a great time to be a gamer. So now drop and give me 20 immediately.
And you know something, folks? This old 51-year-old can do it. I just got back from the doctors, folks. I did my yearly physical. I'm a little bit over the top when it comes to the physicals. Not because I'm some sort of six-pack wearing 51-year-old. No, that's not the case. I'm in good shape, but not great shape like I was back in the days. Being a 9/11 first responder, it's something that I weigh in the back of my mind, because you just never know. Obviously, 9/11 is coming up this Saturday. I talk about it. I get emotional. I get goosebumps. I spent over 50 days down there, and it's a time in my career that I'm never going to forget. And I will say that it's a time in American history that we should all never forget. The amount of sacrifices that gone on that day and continue to go on, with people getting sick from being down there, that we were told that the air was fine, and the amount of lives that have been lost because of illness is just, it's uncountable. So I'm happy to say that, Boom, you got me for at least another year, folks. Clean bill of health, everything is going good. And more importantly, Cog, if you're listening, my brother Cog's always listening, I'm at the lowest weight I've ever been since the police academy 25 plus years ago. That's crazy. I cannot believe it. But I'm still going to have that slice of cake after supper with a nice Italian coffee, because you know what? You only live once. But anyway, enough of that shenanigans. Before we get into the topics, and folks, I think we're only going to have 2 or 3, because one of them is Monster. And we talked about it last night for almost an hour and 45 minutes. I gotta talk about the X screen. Now, these brothers from Australia I promised them last Thursday that I was going to open up the show with, of course, their product, which they are a sponsor of Double Barrel Gaming. I'm a big supporter and proponent for this product. I had a ridiculous amount of technical issues. I was actually podcasting from my phone, which I absolutely hate. But, sometimes you got to roll with the punches. And I just want to tell you that they have some updates to the X screen. If you're not familiar what the X screen is, it is basically something that transforms your Xbox Series X almost into a portable laptop for Xbox. It literally plugs in on the back. You plug the power cord through it, and you just plug it in and you go. And it's that simple. You can definitely check this out, and I definitely would ask that you do. It's you can find them at xscreen.upspecgaming.com. Please check them out. You can click here for pre-orders. I believe it is still launching in 2021. They are going to send me a review kit, which I'm going to test on my Series S, and I will be doing a straight up video for that and showing you guys the inner workings of it, and also give them a follow, of course, at Upspec Gaming on Twitter, and you tell them that Boom sent you, and definitely check it out. Obviously, this is a product that I'm highly excited to try out, and I think it's gonna do amazing things, making your Series S portable by just plugging it in and having a screen as good as this is. This is the first of its kind that was announced, and I could not be more proud to back these two brothers, folks. It's a mom and pop, kind of a setup. Two brothers from Australia. Please, if you reach out to them, tell them that Boom sent you. But listen, I'm going to now hand this podcast over to my brother from another, because we are fans of the horror genre. And I don't think that I have ever been more excited to talk about an old game like we're going to talk about now, Pong. So when you saw and again, this is not exclusive to Xbox, it's coming to everything, but because of its ties to Xbox, because there might be some gamers that weren't around during the Xbox 360 days, that didn't play the follow-up in Xbox Live Arcade, this is going to be a coming home party for Remedy and for one of what I believe is one of their biggest IPs. And of course, please take it away, Pom.
Yeah, so man, one of the best parts and why I've been saying this is the golden age of gaming right now is because not only are we getting a ton of new content nonstop, basically at this point, from everywhere and every place, wherever you're playing at, it is a complete treasure of content coming each and every week being delivered. But we are also finally getting some IPs back that have been dormant for too long, that a lot of us old heads enjoyed, played the hell out of, still talk about to this day, many times with reverence. And a lot of people don't understand why, because they never got to experience them. There's a couple generations now of people that may never have touched these games for a variety of reasons. But all of us have been calling for this to happen for a long time. And there's still many, many more to go. But coming off the back of, Mass Effect, the trilogy being redone, and the announcement of Dead Space, we are now getting another Xbox 360 classic. This broke Saturday, leaked out, Mario 64, and then confirmed by Windows Central. Jez and Miles over there confirmed with their sources that it was real, that we are getting the Alan Wake remaster, finally. Now, this has been rumored for quite some time. We can go back to Jeff Grubb all the way back in April, talking about
good old Jeffy Grubb.
Jeffy Grubb doesn't miss very often, and it sounds like he was spot on here because there had been an announcement that Remedy had made that Epic Games and them had partnered for two games, upcoming games, obviously for the Epic Store, number one. I mean, that's why Epic wants it for the PC side of things, but they had partnered, and they were both coming from the same franchise. And one was a AAA experience, and then another one was a smaller project that had not been started. I believe this was back in 2020 when they had announced this. So Jeff Grubb back in April of this year had announced that he had heard that they were making Alan Wake 2. So it only made sense because it was going to be a multi-platform game. Again, the first one being exclusive to Microsoft. Microsoft had partnered with Remedy to do Alan Wake, and then they had sold the rights back to them, to Remedy back in 2019. So it only made sense that if they were going to do an Alan Wake 2 and they were going to make it multi-platform, that obviously there would have to be something to bring everybody up to date on what Alan Wake was. Again, for the people who had never gotten a chance to play it, for the younger generations, and maybe for the people who were only PlayStation centric, that had never, been able to touch Alan Wake because they never owned an Xbox. Okay, so it made sense we get something like this at some time. Now the surprise is how quick it's coming. It's coming in October, according to the release dates. Now that hasn't been officially confirmed. They did officially confirm its existence this morning, but at the time when the story broke on Saturday, there had been no confirmation for sure. And we were hearing, according to where the leak came from, it was a Taiwanese site, I guess, I believe it's October the 10th. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's October the 10th or October the 5th. But we get to go back to Bright Falls. And again, this morning, Sam Lake, who was a writer for Remedy, who was also the face of Max Payne, he came out and actually released an open letter to the Remedy, basically community fan site called The Sudden Stop, which is cool. That is a great way to do it. So I'm going to quickly read through this letter. So this, again, open letter, Sam Lake, he's a writer. He did the face for Max Payne. He wrote this morning. This is for you. I'm beyond happy to tell you that at the time of writing this, Alan Wake Remastered is nearing completion. Confirmed, announced, coming up in a partnership with Epic Games Publishing and multi-platform PC on the Epic Game Store, Xbox, and for the first time ever, PlayStation, this generation and the previous one. This is for you. Alan Wake came out over 11 years ago, and through that time, you have told us again and again how much you love the game. The story, the characters, and the lore. Yep. And that matters a lot to us. We love this game as well. I love this game. The remaster is coming because of your support for Alan Wake through the years. That is why we felt it was fitting to make this announcement here at the Sudden Stop, which has been an integral part of the Remedy community since back in 2012 when it started out as an Alan Wake fan site. The Remedy community wouldn't be what it is today without the Sudden Stop, and we wanted to show our gratitude by telling you about the Alan Wake Remastered right here. So thank you, Rachel and everyone else, for supporting Remedy and all our games through all these years. Rachel's the creator of the website, obviously. Early on in the game, Alan Wake says, in a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we remember in the end. This is an idea close to my heart. Stories that make me think, excite me, stories where everything is not freely handed out to me or wrapped up neatly, where I am left with a mystery. Mysteries are magical to me. They hold a promise, and I am often happier with that than a final answer. This is what we as a team and I as the lead writer of Alan Wake set out to create for you a long time ago. The story and character were personal in many ways. Alan Wake, being a writer himself, gave me an opportunity to use what I do and love as a writer as an element in the story. Alan Wake also contained the mystery of forests and lakes, which are precious to me as a Finn. And instead of a focused one-note horror fare, it was a strange, even wasteful mix of horror, humor, and supernatural mystery. I also love it because it turned out to be a very hard game to make, and with many struggles along the way, and that makes me even prouder of what we achieved. The original game was only available on Xbox 360 and a few years later on PC. We are thrilled about the opportunity to bring the remastered version out for a whole new generation of platforms. I am excited to hear what you think about Alan Wake. Alan Wake Remastered is the original experience you fell in love with all those years ago. We did not want to change that, but the visuals all around, including the character model of Alan Wake himself and the cinematics, have been updated and improved with some choice next generation upgrades. Alan Wake Remastered will launch this fall. Stay tuned for more information soon. This is for you. I hope you enjoy it, either again, like meeting an old friend, or for the first time. Yours, Sam Lake, Creative Director, Remedy Entertainment. Great letter. Really lays out for the fans. There had been some other leaks that happened on Sunday that maybe suggesting that they were going to move the entire game over to the control engine. Obviously, it doesn't sound like that was going to happen. I was a little shocked when I started hearing those because I was like, dang, that would be a big project.
Yeah.
I can't believe they would have it out this soon. This, from what I'm gathering here, again, we don't know anything, but from what I'm gathering, from what he's saying and what other people have written now, it sounds like it's going to be a basic remaster. 4K upgraded graphics. They're going to upgrade some of the character models and the environments and that kind of stuff. Maybe some of the lighting will get upgraded, but I don't think it's going to be a full remake like some were suggesting.
Like Resident Evil 2-esque remake.
Yeah, I don't think that's what we're getting here, but that's okay with me. Again, at the end of the day, this is one of those titles from the 360 era, and there was a lot of them, okay, that became fan favorites, that became cult classics, and that not a lot of people, or not everybody, got to experience. So for this to come back now, again, just adds. Again, we have so many games coming out, but I'm going to make time for this one. This
Dude,
is a special.
I'm going to tell you this right now, bro.
Yeah.
Okay? Everything stops once this game comes out for me.
Yeah, and that's the way I think it's going to be for a lot of people, Boom.
Yeah.
I really do. And again, I just think it's fantastic that everybody's going to be able to experience Alan Wake. Again, it was great at the time that it was exclusive. It was part of the 360 dominance where they were getting these kind of deals left and right. But now that we've gotten this far, now that Remedy re-owns the IP, they're going to make Alan Wake 2 multi-platform. I'm happy that more and more people are going to be able to go back and experience this in the best light possible. And I think that this is going to open up a whole new fan base for this game because it is a special game. There is no doubt about it. Take Stephen King and put it into a video game, and that's what a lot of what you've got. Take Twin Peaks, X-Files, all the influential stuff from back in that era and a little bit before is what they put into Alan Wake, and it really does create a special psychological horror type game. Again, this isn't your classic, nonstop jump scares, bloody horror. This is more psychological, but it is absolutely a fantastic experience that I hope everybody goes out and gets to do. Now, again, we don't know if it's going to show up in Game Pass or if that's even a possibility at this point. We don't know any of the details as far as that goes, but I think if you're going to take a chance on a game this fall to kind of slide in between everything else that is coming out, I think this Alan Wake remaster, especially for someone who either A, is a huge fan of it, or B, just never got to experience it, go get this. It's going to be worth it. So you know what, guys? What do you think? Boom, start with you. Obviously, you're a huge fan. Where are you at with this? Are you happy that it's here? Are you kind of surprised that it's here? And what's your take on what Sam Lake had to say there?
Well, there's a couple of ways to tackle this. As someone who grew up watching The Outer Limits, folks, I don't know if you even know what that show is. We're talking about black and white Outer Limits. Yeah. Every time I played anything in Alan Wake, I got the Twilight Zone, Outer Limits kind of a feel. That's something that's unique to Remedy. That's certainly something unique to Alan Wake as an IP. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still shocked that we're getting it. But I think with you or like you, I'm shocked that we're getting it as soon as we are. Like it's. I mean, this just dropped, and hey, next month, you folks, on the 8th, you're getting Alan Wake a remaster. Hello, what? I mean, and I'm gonna tell you this right now. I still own the collector's edition. I have it in storage. I'm in condition. I'm hoping. I don't think we're gonna get it because it's a little too soon. We would have known about this for a while. I wish we would have got something with like a collector's edition that came with like a book. One of the books with the game inside, something nerdy like that. I'd display that almost immediately. This is a big win for fans of the Xbox 360. This is a big win for PlayStation gamers who enjoyed Control, never had an opportunity to learn about who Alan Wake is, and now they're going to get a chance to play. They're going to get a chance to experience something that I mean, like, I almost feel jealous. I'm gonna be honest with you that if you've never experienced Alan Wake, I'm almost jealous because A, you're going to get the best version of it, and B, you're going to be able to experience it for the first time. I mean, like I experienced it way back in the days when it came out. It was amazing then. And the only follow-up that we wind up getting is Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which was an Xbox Live arcade game. It wasn't even a full-on, like big experience, but it was fun nonetheless. I am super, super stoked to get into this. I cannot believe we're getting it as quick as we're getting it, but I'm definitely all in. Real quick before I hand the mic back to you, I got to thank two people. 108 Dragons TV, generous friend of the show. He drops a $5 super chat and says, "What's good, my gaming community? Alan Wake is a legendary game. Cannot wait. Panels stay awesome." Well, thank you, brother, for being here. Thank you for the generosity. Drawn TJ, another gentleman who's going to be making his debut on Primetime Gaming in a couple of weeks, just like Back from the Dead is here today. He drops a $5 super chat and says, "Exciting year for gaming. Great show, Boom." Thanks, brother. Definitely appreciate that. By all means, Pong, please continue.
Yeah, no, and just to add a little bit too, they are going to include the DLC
Yes.
along with this remaster, which is fantastic. Again, the complete package. As somebody who's playing back through or now playing Control Ultimate Edition on Series X, and has gone back to Quantum Break, and I still have to finish that yet too. Got a real appreciation for Remedy. As much as I've given them criticism for how long it takes them to get games out, and it seems like they're tackling a ton of projects, and we don't know when the next one's coming out. I got a real appreciation for what Remedy does. I've always had appreciation just because of Alan Wake back in the day, and obviously the Max Payne series was gigantic as well. The first two that they did, but at the same time, their storytelling is special. And I know not a lot of people, not everybody agrees on Control, whether it was a good game or not. It's pretty divided when it comes to that game, but their storytelling, their unique and creativeness is something that we should cherish. And to be able to go back and experience Alan Wake again is a treat. Back, did you ever have a chance to play Alan Wake? And if so, what are your thoughts on the remaster? Otherwise, if you didn't, are you excited to finally get a chance to play Alan Wake?
Yeah, I didn't play it back on the 360. At the time, I was playing a lot of Halo and Gears, Destiny, and Resident Evil games, amongst a ton of other games.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely sounds like an interesting game I'd like to check out, as well as I still have to play Control. I haven't gotten into that either. So yeah, it's I did look at a video of it on YouTube last night. It looks like great over-the-shoulder third-person mature title that would definitely help Xbox in their catalog.
Yeah, it was big for the 360 back then. It was just a different title, and their use of the light with the flashlight. I don't know if you saw in the videos back, but the flashlight is basically a weapon at points, and that use of that light was very unique back at the time, and it created a whole new atmosphere. So yeah, good to hear that you're actually thinking about picking it up, because it is an experience. But a lot of people were in the same boat as you back. Like, my brother from another Steel Rain, again, he got to experience Mass Effect for the first time because he was too busy playing Gears. A lot of people were doing, focused in on different styles back then and kind of missed out on some of these big games. And that's what I'm talking about nowadays. We get to go back and the people who did, for whatever reason, just didn't get a chance to play them, now get a chance to revisit them if they wish, and see what everybody talks about all the time. And that's super cool. Mav, where are you at, brother? I don't know if I've ever asked you if you played Alan Wake before. I think you probably have. Have you?
Can't hear you, muted, brother.
You're muted. Professional podcaster.
Dude, I'm at my bad. I think that's the first time I've done that on this show. Holy crap. Okay. Yes, I have played it. I can't remember honestly if I beat it or not. It's been so long since I've played the game. I remember it was one of the 360 games that everybody was so excited for, and it kept getting like pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and nobody really knew what it was going to be. And then it came out, and people just absolutely fell in love with it. But I think it had also lost a lot of the excitement that people had over the course of when it was originally first announced, right? Because
Yeah,
I
people
think
thought it was vaporware for a while. People
right,
thought
and
it died.
I remember we were wondering, is it an open world psychological game? There's all this like questioning about what was the game going to be, you know, and then we got what it was finally, and typical Remedy, you know, announce something and then spend forever creating it and not telling anybody
Yeah.
what it is. So when we finally got to play it, it was different than what I had originally anticipated from the original reveal.
Yeah.
But it was such a focused experience. I can't remember if I played it all the way through because you know me, like when something else catches my attention,
Of course.
I just move on sometimes. But yeah, it was a great game. Mechanically super fluid. The whole light thing was amazing with how they worked with the lighting in the levels to where you know, that's what a lot of it was. You got to, I think I remember going into like certain environments, like a construction yard, right, type area, and
Yep.
and having to move around and play with the light and stuff like that, and then then like kind of supernatural events would start taking place, right? Um, it was very psychological, very eerie, great game. So it's good. We talk about this too, Pong. It's good to give birth to old games again, right? There's too many IP out there, too many things out there that has a huge fan base that people love that just get forgotten about, that get left out there and never have a chance of coming back. And I do, yes, I do think
Hello,
this
thank you for that.
this could be something that is getting people excited, potentially ready for a sequel, right? Something that is getting people more interested in reminding people about the game, right? So I'm happy that this IP is not dead. And in fact, like what Remedy is kind of doing, they're building this shared universe around this world,
Yep.
right? So if
Yep.
you want to, if you're a fan of Control, and the rumor, I think they're making a Control 2 as well. Is there's a rumor out there for that?
Yep.
This is all tied in and connected in some ways, right? So it's very interesting what they're trying to do there, build their own little, you know,
MCU.
yeah, the little Remedy U, I guess,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome, dude, and they're very good at what they do. But I will say time and time again, I want a Max Payne game, and I want it made by Remedy,
Yeah.
the original creators of Max Payne, and I want a new one of those as well. So the crazy thing is they could keep taking on all these projects,
Right.
right? That they're supposed to be working on Crossfire X campaign.
Yeah.
They got this. They got, I think, like 2 other or 3 other things that are rumored to be in the works. So they're taking on a lot. But I guess if this is happening sooner, so I guess they're making things happen.
Well, if our speculation town today is anything, man, we may get that Max Payne.
Well, you know,
we can
you
make that
just,
happen.
you just don't know at this point. I mean, the speculation half of the show is going to be a lot of fun. We got 200 people here. Of course, I want to start off with saying that if you are new to the channel, I would hopefully would love to suggest that you consider becoming a channel subscriber. Hit that subscribe button. 4 live shows a week. This week happens to be 5. I'll be covering the ramifications of the PlayStation event a couple of hours after the show goes live here at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be coming back with a panel to be determined, which is going to be about 4 or 5 people. We're going to do about a 60-minute show. Just a little bit longer than Sony's show, 40 to 50 minutes. We're gonna break down what they showed. There's some rumor. I mean, obviously, God of War, we think is going to be there in some form or fashion. Hopefully, it's more than just a logo. We're hearing that Resistance Fall of Man, the remake or remaster, it may show up, as well as some third-party deals that Sony is apparently, paid to lock up. But I'm going to be excited to find out, because obviously, listen, I have a problem with the way Sony's doing business lately. Their marketing has not been good. Their messaging has been downright horrendous. But as a fan who owns a PlayStation 5, who has publicly talked about my excitement for their single-player, story-driven, adult-themed type of games, I'm excited. It's going to be the first potentially positive news we've had with Sony in the entire 21 campaign, because it's been bad news after bad news with them. Hopefully, we'll get something that we can look forward to in the coming year, with Horizon already confirmed, and of course, potentially God of War in holiday of 2022, but we will certainly see. Real quick, and just catch up on one of the super chats, and we're going to get to one of the other stories. Raiden Blade, a good friend, generous friend of the show, he drops a $2 super chat and says, Twilight Zone intro still gives me goosebumps. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I cannot wait to see what that looks like on our powerful consoles, as well as our TVs to match. I think that's going to be something to be had. And because it's a single-player game, you're going to be able to sit there and enjoy the story, Pong. And I know that you are, as well as myself. And it's nothing better than sitting back and playing those types of games. Something that Xbox does have, not in spades like Sony, but it's going to be nice to play the Aware. And it's funny because when you talk about the over-the-shoulder stuff, right, Xbox gets little to no credit that they were the leaders of this at one point during the 360 era, with a lot of games that were exclusive, both through second, third party, and their own first party titles. And obviously, because of certain management positions at the time, as we moved into the Xbox One days, we all know what happened. We don't have to reiterate, but they are a much better Xbox nowadays, and we're all better gamers for it. I'm still, like you, Pong, kind of hoping, like, I'm going to give them the money because it's Remedy. I'm going to support a dev that I really like. So I'm buying it straight up. But it would be pretty dope if it was in the Xbox Game Pass. And because they have a good rapport with both Remedy and Epic Games, I think that this could be one of those titles that finds its way to Xbox Game Pass as one of the big announcements for October towards the end of this month. Real quick, I got to shout out Wubba Fat, I believe I pronounced it right, as a new channel member. Folks, that is pretty dope. Again, small channel, and any channel membership is always welcome. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. Raiden Blade drops an additional $5 super chat and says, I'm looking forward to seeing Alan Wake meet Control. Yes, me too. And that meet Quantum Break, having all three characters would be great. Yeah, dude, that's like Avengers level, bro. That's like we're gonna get with Spider-Man No Way Home. We can have all these villains. You're gonna have Doctor Strange and Wong and a few other people potentially making their debut in Spider-Man. That's what it's gonna be like. It's gonna be big. Before we get to the next topic, two things I want to talk about. First, as tradition has it, this upcoming September 24th is a Friday. It's a breakfast with Boom. One of our special guests is going to be my brother, Lord Cognito. He's going to be celebrating Boom's birthday bash. And you say, well, if you're new to the channel, what the hell is Boom's birthday bash? Well, I turned 51 on September 25th, which is Saturday. And since the inception of this channel, my wife and I always felt that it was proper, instead of celebrating my birthday and getting super chats and gifts, was to try to turn that around and push and give. And what we're doing is we're giving over $300 worth of prizes on that day. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If you are a channel member, if you are someone that drops a super chat on a regular basis, whether it's your first time or your 80th time, and there's been a lot of super chats, we are turning those monies, and we're turning it back. Like, we just gave away $250 worth of gift cards last Tuesday. We're giving over $300 worth of prizes on the 24th. If you are a channel member, if you are someone that drops super chat, you get an extra entry in the drawing. So you get an extra shot at getting one of those prizes. We don't know what the prizes are going to be right now. It's definitely going to be worth over $300. We're trying to figure out the denominations and what best suits the community at whole. The more prizes that we can give, the better it is for me and Mrs. Boom, because we like giving back. And of course, we'll talk about this as we get closer to the holidays. I'm talking about Christmas. We have confirmed that we are going to be giving over $500 worth of prizes with Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. That's going to be happening on a Breakfast with Boom, as it always has since the channel's inception, our 4th year in a row. And again, if you're a channel member, if you are a super chat dropper, you get an extra, added a bonus entry into potentially getting one of them. And if you're someone that just comes for the show, and a lot of people do it, and we love you for it, everyone that shows up is going to get a shot to win a prize on both of those big giveaways. And then, of course, those are coming up, one at the end of this month and one during the holidays. Of course, I'm talking about Christmas. And I want to thank everybody that's already a channel member. We are, I think, close to 60 plus, which is bananas. And of course, I want to thank all the super chats that continue to come in. It's because of your support that we can do these monster giveaways. So thank you for that. Before we get into the big topic, before we get to Speculation Town, which, by the way, right now, I just checked Pong, it's 70. It's beautiful. It's sunny. It's like San Diego weather. There's unicorns. There's rainbows. And guess what? Your favorite meal is on every corner. You got to do is walk up and take it. That's it. If you like Jack D from Fridays like I do, the Jack D chicken, it's waiting there for you. You got to just walk up and just, this is delicious. If you like cotton candy, guess what? It's waiting there for you. We're going to get to that. We're going to get Speculation Town after this. This is the next topic is a bit controversial for a lot of reasons. Now, 16 years ago, when the Xbox 360 launched in 2005, I believe it was. I believe, if I'm correct, Xbox did a lot of things that were firsts for the industry, one of which is achievements. I'll never forget the first time you did something in a game and you popped up, you hear that, and it pops up and you're like, it just makes you feel all good and warm inside. And as an old G, like, I remember I started with Pong and back in the days, the only thing that we got was an attaboy from your pops, right? That was sitting watching you play, right? And that was good. Obviously my pops is my hero. So when he said attaboy, I was like, yeah, I know I'm doing right.
We got the credits too, bro.
Right.
We got to watch the credits.
We got to watch the credits, right? And you got to go to school and get into fights with your friends that swore you didn't just beat Legend of Zelda. They're like, you straight up lying, Craig. You lying. There's no way you beat that. Ganon Boss kill me a million times. Forget it. But now there's been a lot of questions in the community, and I have to bring PlayStation into it because I'm not a big trophy hunter. I like them. I think that they are important. They're like they are like achievements, but they have something that a lot of people have been asking, and that is platinum trophies. And I think platinum trophies are an incredible. Now I don't have a whole mess of them. I think I have 5 or 6. I have Spider-Man 2018. I got Ghost of Tsushima. I got Astrobot for the PlayStation 5. I got a few others. I think I got this one where you tap something, Mayo, something with Mayo. I don't know. I got a platinum for it, folks. I'm good with that. Oh yeah. Rocket League. I got the platinum, which is crazy, right? So I did that. But someone made mention, and man, last night's show was so crazy that I didn't even write down the name. I wrote down because I said, you know what, I want to talk about this with the people and get people's opinions on this. The question that I posed to the chat, and we have over 200 people here, and I posed to, of course, the panel, is as great an industry setting as achievements are and continue to be, because I like the point system. See, I don't like the whole, you're number this in trophies. I think that's stupid. I like numbers, tangible numbers. I'm closing in on 300,000. I think 1,000 or more. I'll get it by the end of the month, hopefully. The question is, does Sony, for who they are and where they are in the industry, they've done a lot of copying over the years. And one of the things that they copied many, many years after the Xbox 360 was trophies in the form of achievements. And I think that that is the best form of flattery. That's what they say. My question to the community, my question to the panel is, does Xbox actually need their own platinum? For people like Mag, middle-aged game guy, who just is a beast when it comes to these games. Like, he posted in our DM, he destroyed Psychonauts, every achievement, every freaking one of them, but there's no platinum. And I'm not saying that his achievements are lessened in any way, but it would be pretty dope if he had that one little extra something special to go right along his next to his gamer tag that says that he did everything in said game. Pong, I'm going to go to you first on this. Does Microsoft kind of need to take a page out of Sony's book and create and somehow advance a groundbreaking, industry-changing, addition in achievements, but give us something special at the end of that 1,000 out of 1,000?
I don't have a good answer for this, Boom. I hear both sides, right? And I'm not an achievement hunter. I get achievements because I just play tons of games, right? And I don't go after the 1,000. I don't care unless it's a game I'm absolutely enjoying, unless it's an achievement that I absolutely look at and I'm like, hey, that sounds kind of cool. I'm going to go after this, right? So for me, it's not that big a deal. I was the same way on PlayStation with my trophies, played it the same way. I do hear that the achievements should be updated. I always thought it would be cool to somehow see, this is where it's really tough, because again, how do you do this properly? But I always thought it would be cool somehow to share, next to your gamer tag, to somehow, give yourself a medal or whatever the case may be next to your gamer tag, to kind of give some type of indication of some kind of special achievements that you want to show off. Whatever that may look like, I don't know, to be honest with you. I even missed the days when the avatars were actually a big deal and you could get like special unlocks for t-shirts or whatever the case may be if you completed an achievement. I thought that was kind of cool back in the day, but all that's gone kind of away because nobody uses the avatars anymore. But I think that there definitely needs to be some type of upgrade. Now, do I think they need to copy Sony with theirs? No, I don't think they need to, but they should come up with something for those people that do achievement hunt, or those people that do just happen to finish a game that they absolutely enjoyed and want to get that completion kind of mark on there. I think they should do something like that. I'm just not into the whole achievement comparing and all that kind of stuff, whatever the case may be. So for me, it's hard to tell you where they should go with this, but I definitely think that it's time. There's a couple different features that they could introduce, that Sony's done better, like the share functionality and that kind of stuff. They need to fix that stuff first. The share button needs to be fixed. They need to come up with a new way of people putting out clips and sharing their gameplay.
Dude, let me, look.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
It's off topic.
But we're gonna take a left to take a left at Albuquerque real quick. Listen, folks, I have been accused of many things as being a content creator. One of which is going to be not going after Microsoft when they need it, which I find to be hard to believe, considering that I'm the first one to go and point the finger and be like, give them the pow. That's no good. Folks, I know people from Xbox listen to this show, and I'm here to tell you that I talked about this briefly last night on Prime Time. The fact that we are closing in on a year of this console's release, that there is no fix or explanation or timetable to why we can't get this DVR to work correctly for the Xbox Series X is mind-numbing. Look, I have a really nice TV. Now, I don't have a CX yet. I think I'm going to move from a Samsung because I like the Dolby Vision. I'm going to wind up getting a CX or the one after that. Treat myself maybe for the holidays. I'll see how the money is because, obviously I'm retired. So you got to be smart with your money. The fact that I am rocking top of the line Samsung TV, which is my favorite brand, and that I cannot use the HDR part of my console is effing ridiculous. And I can't because I have to record what you're seeing gameplay that I do on a regular basis. And I had to go out and buy a top of the line Elgato in order to plug it. And then because things are that effed up, I had to figure out, thanks to Cybernox, who schooled the old man here, I had to go out and buy a switcher where I had to plug in 4 different things to plug into my computer, my PC, then back over to the Xbox to get it to be able to record. It's redonkulous, folks. Like straight up, I listen, and I have DM'd Jason Ronald, and he has straight up said we are working on it. Boom. As soon as we have an update. Now, again, I'm not saying that this is the worst thing ever to happen in gaming, because it's not.
No.
But it's something that 100% needs to be addressed. Please, Pong, we'll get your opinion. We'll get the other guy's opinion, and we'll take that right back onto the main trail.
Yeah, no. That's, again, I didn't mean to take this left, but again, I was talking about overall, like PlayStation does have some features, and some people point to the trophies, but a lot of people point to the sharing. And I believe that the sharing for me, why I brought it up too is a part of this is just because it's a group of features that Sony made that does, in my opinion, do a little bit better than Xbox does at this point. So with the share function, it's free advertising. So for me, I don't understand why Xbox does not have a better setup for this. There should be editing software. There should be a much easier way to share than there currently is, because it is a not easy process. Is it functional? Yeah, it's functional. But why add a share button?
It's barely functionable.
Right. Why go out of your way to put all this in and not give people a full experience? Because people sharing on Twitter, Facebook, wherever people like to share their stuff at is just free advertising, not even for the developers, but for Xbox themselves. And I think that should be taken seriously. So I hope they do fix this, because it is something that needs to be addressed, that should have been addressed. And I know Jason has come out and said that they are addressing it. I just can't believe after this long, there hasn't been something done about it. But as far as achievements go, again, I think there could be an update. I think they could do something different. I think people with a lot bigger brains than myself that look at the achievements and look at all of the other systems out there could find a way to make it a little bit more than it currently is, because it's basically the same system we've had since the get-go. And I think that they could bring it up to date, and they could give people a little bit more reason to pay attention to the achievements. And again, not everybody's going to care, but I'm just saying that it's a small things, and Xbox has been doing a fantastic job with the small things, with the quality of life features that they've been doing. There's just a couple of them that they could work on, and I definitely think achievements is one of those for sure.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it hasn't gotten an update in a while. The last update we got like the diamond achievements that makes a special different noise. I mean, that could have easily have been your platinum, so to speak. It could have been like a diamond or something by the, I mean, but I do, again, are there still, is it real world problems, folks? The answer is it's not. It's not. But I thought it would be, worthy of a conversation, because I saw some people in the chat bring it, talking about it. I figured, you know what? Let's talk about that. Raiden Blade drops a very generous additional £2 super chat and says God of War 2 is releasing 2023 December. You might be onto something. I don't think that Sony is going to pull a Nintendo. I don't think we get Zelda in the early part of the year and Mario Odyssey at the end of the year. I think only Nintendo could pull that off. I think what we're going to get is we're going to get Horizon and a few other potentially smaller experiences next year for Sony. Not that it's a bad thing, because, again, Horizon's going to be probably in my game of the year conversation, because I'm just such a fan of Aloy. I think that we will get God of War the following year, even if it falls into the same spring level that we're seeing Horizon, except it would be 2023. But again, Sony will tell us. They'll tell us. They won't be honest, because sometimes they're not really honest about things. But again, we will see. We actually do have a new channel member, and I believe it's Hella. Help me out with this. It's HJ, which I believe is silent, ULLIA.
Julia.
Julia. Well, there you go.
H Julia or Julia.
I like it. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for becoming a channel member. That is very, very kind of you. Definitely appreciate the support. Back from the Dead, let's get your opinion on both subjects, and we'll start first with the achievements. Does the achievements need an update?
For myself, I really wouldn't care either way. I mean, it's great to have rare achievements. That's why I take more value from. Like one of the rarest achievements that I've got a long time ago was in Sea of Thieves, that less than 1% of people had become Pirate Legend. And even recently, when I looked at it, now it's up to 3%. And another achievement, there's only 0.5% of people like myself that have gotten the achievement for getting all the commendations in A Pirate's Life Tales.
Okay.
So,
I mean, again, I do like the little those are great little tidbits that they do throw up there for you, and it does give you a sense of satisfaction, at least in my opinion, that if you know that you got an achievement that literally 1% of the millions of Xbox players that don't have, that's pretty dope, and I do definitely like that for sure. What are your thoughts on the functionality of the DVR? Is it passable for you, or do you believe, like Pong and myself, that it does need to be addressed much sooner than later?
it's passable for myself, but that's also because I've got a AverMedia Live Gamer Ultra capture card.
Okay, I mean,
So
that makes sense.
I'm able to do more than the system can do on its own through my PC. So, I mean, as far as you also talked about the share button, it's a lot easier on the PlayStation because I got a PS4 Pro. When you hit the share button on there, you get a screen that drops down that asks you whether you want to capture a screenshot or you want to take a game clip. And you can send that straight to Twitter. It's just more simpler the way they do it, where in Xbox, you have to take the capture clip, then you have to go into the menu. In some cases, you have to wait for it to upload just to be able to share it in certain spots. And even it's easier to link it through PlayStation 4 versus even now in Series X. So that's something they definitely have to work on.
I agree, and I think we've all, so far it seems like the panel's unanimous regarding. Like I said, I think it's passable. The share button, you get a 2-minute clip, you put it up there, you put it to Twitter, you put a comment, and you go, and usually it works with no problem. A lot of the screens, and specifically, I've actually added Jason Ronald regarding this, that you'll get. They'll take a screenshot, and on your end it looks fantastic. Wow, what a great screenshot! The minute it goes up, it's dark. You could barely see it. That's got to be addressed ASAP. Mav, as someone that is as social as you are, and obviously, you're on Twitch, you're doing your thing there, you're doing your weekly shows, getting out and having a conversation with the community regarding your gameplay is super, super important. And, as great as many things as Xbox does right, this is where they do it wrong. What are your thoughts?
Definitely I kind of liked the direction they had gone early Xbox One generation with Upload Studio. And in fact, that's where a lot of the content creators in the Xbox community actually got their start, was with the Upload Studio. That is no more, really. They kind of stopped focusing on it, stopped paying attention to it, and just kind of let that die. And instead, they're trying to make it like a fast, fluid process with the Upload Studio and doing the it's going to go straight to your phone so you can share it to Twitter and all that stuff. The problem is when you do that, it's not straight to your phone. Like, you will actually go and look and you're wondering, hey, where is the clip? that I just recorded, and then especially if you have more than one console, right? So it's just your captures aren't always there. Sometimes they take like a couple days to show up, and that's the biggest problem I have with that functionality. I think there's some technical stuff in there, and I'm wondering if potentially why there hasn't been more updates. If maybe there's not some kind of a bigger overhaul they're doing, because a
Maybe.
lot of
That's
times when
interesting.
Xbox does focus on things like this, they actually assign a team to it, and we're gonna get to this problem when we get to it after we fix this other thing. But when we do it, they're gonna do it big, right? So they have done that with other things that they've addressed in the past, such as backwards compatibility. When they originally were trying to figure out how to do that, let's assign a team to it and figure it out. So this is probably just in their line of things to work on. It just may be not as high of a priority as some of the other things that they're trying to get accomplished here. So that may be why it's taken so long. I'm hoping when there is an overhaul of it or fixes that it's not just a little bit. I would like to see more functionality, um, period. As well as I would like to for them to fix some of the streaming capabilities of the console and add more functionality there as well. If you want to talk about the some of the one of the issues is it's not just the DVR. It's only being limited right now through the Twitch app to stream to Twitch. Once they get rid of Mixer, there's no straight to YouTube capability,
Yeah.
which is it works really well on PlayStation. So that's something I would like to see them add is ability to stream directly from console in a more streamlined fashion. Other than that, though, achievements, man, I personally don't care. Like to be honest with you, I never look at the achievements. I never look at the trophies on PlayStation. I like when they pop up. It gives me a fuzzy feeling inside. Like, ooh, cool, achievement, right? There's probably back in the day when achievements first came out, some 360 games that I had looked at and like, oh, cool, I'm gonna try and thousand this one because I'm close, right? It just by happenstance, I noticed that I was close. If they added something to that, it would be pretty cool. Maybe get some kind of unlockable theme. Me and Pong have talked about this before. Like, give maybe a piece of content or something for your Xbox or something that's tangible. Maybe like some music or something cool. You know, as far as like a badge of honor, I don't know if I care about that. I think the points are enough because when you do go look at people's games and compare games, you can see if they've thousanded it. And for me, that's a prestigious thing that they've 1,000 the game, right? So I don't necessarily need like the platinum logo or whatever they would call it. But I think it'd be cool if you did 1,000 something to get a little to get a little cool piece of content that's only exclusive to the people that did that. So
Yeah,
that's
Yeah, I
where
mean,
I stand with that.
yeah, I mean, they obviously, you know, one way I was thinking about that would be platinum level, I suppose, is if you know how when you look at someone's gamer score and you're looking at the list that they've done,
Yeah.
right? Said 1,000 could have like you know, like a platinum level plaque that goes
Mhm.
behind, with a nice design, says, oh, listen, this game I got I got every achievement, and it stands out among other achievements that you've gotten
Yeah.
other games. That would
Make the
like,
plaque of that game shiny and like
yes,
silver
yeah.
ish or
You know,
something.
silver,
Yeah, yeah.
platinum, if you want to kind of tip your hat to Sony or give them the finger, whatever makes you happy. Real quick, shout out to Caitlin. She says, by the way, Mav, I just bought a game that came out today. Say hello to your new bus driver, Bus Simulator, baby. Let's go.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, she's gonna be hopefully
You streaming later, Mav? Are you gonna drive some bus?
Maybe
right
she
after
will.
you stream House Flipper.
I love it. That's great. I love it. I love the family affair aspect that you guys have over there. But yeah, good stuff. You know what's funny? I haven't even been taking what do you call it? Show notes here. Jeez, man. Sometimes I want to punch myself in the face as a host. So I'm gonna have to just try and remember. Okay, listen, folks. When you go look at the timestamps, if they're not perfect, don't hunt down Boom. All right. It's just, I'm having so much fun. I forgot. We're getting to the speculation aspect of today's conversation. One of which that listen, folks, if you missed last night's primetime gaming, the thumbnail was very self-explanatory. There are rumors, there are suggestions, there are insiders talking that Microsoft could in fact have positioned themselves to purchase Take-Two Interactive. Now, I know this is going to be a lot of like last night there were a lot of denouncers to this, whether it is fear, whether it is if you only play on one console, you as a PlayStation player have already been had the door closed on you when it comes to Bethesda level games. All new games moving forward, you're not getting. And I don't have a problem with that because it's big business. I feel the same way that many gamers on the PlayStation side felt when Spider-Man was brought to Sony as an exclusive and remains as an exclusive. I support multiple platforms, so it means nothing to me because I'm going to get the game where I'm going to get the game, and I don't care what console it is on. Now, from a financial point of view, not everybody is in Boom's position, and I completely understand that. I understand that if you are a one console gamer and PlayStation is your choice, then you're going to feel somewhat slighted. You're going to feel like you were backhanded by Xbox because they purchased, Bethesda, one of your favorite companies. Well, the difference that I want to keep reiterating is unlike Sony, who says it's here and go F yourself, because that's really what they do. They're very bullish like that. Microsoft says, hold on, take it easy. You can play anywhere you want. That Xbox Game Pass exists, right? Phil has said that specifically. And that's on phones, tablets, your PC, your old fat Xbox, your TV's coming this fall. You're going to be able to play it anywhere you want. Now, are you going to get the best experience that you would on an X? No. But you're going to play the game and you're going to enjoy it nonetheless. And that's something that Sony does not do. Sony says you're playing on a PlayStation, otherwise you ain't playing at all, unless, of course, it eventually comes to PC, and that's not one-to-one. But when you start talking about Take-Two Interactive and the potential and the ramifications on what a deal this big, we have to go back a bit to why I think that there is some legitimacy to this conversation. After the Bethesda deal was done, and I might be repeating myself because I might have said some of this last night, but of course, we may have some new viewers, new listeners. I want to make sure that I paint a Picasso for you so you know that I'm not, BSing. We had heard from several insiders, including Jeffy Grubb, a good friend of this show, who has been on this program and has promised to come back. So we're just trying to iron out the details and when we can get him back in his gorgeous mane of hair. He had heard that the next purchase from Microsoft was going to be bigger than Bethesda, right? Those are the exact words. We also heard that it was not going to be a developer, that it was going to be a publisher. So, of course, all the crazy rumors of Capcom and Square Enix started to circle. And one of the things that no one talked about, because it seemed it seemed not even feasible in a conversation, let alone in reality, is Take-Two. And we've heard from Xbox Somos. We've heard from Jez Corden. We've heard from Special Nick from the Xbox Era podcast, that these conversations apparently were in fact going on. And what's interesting, folks, and again, I'm not a coincidence kind of a guy. I never have been. I said it in the green room. I said, you go to your local fruit stand, you go to get your favorite apple, you bite into said apple, and it's the greatest thing you ever eaten. You're like, my God, this was a magic apple. Then you go back the next day, and sure enough, more magic apples. And you're like, this has got to be the greatest coincidence I've ever had. Right. And I'll give you the nod on that. But when it comes to big business, nah, fam, I'm not about coincidences. And even though Phil Spencer, known as the industry good guy, I think that with the constant winning that Microsoft has been doing over the course of the last 18 months or so. I think Phil, because he's obviously he's the brains of the operation. He knows what's going on. Been a little bit of a bullish Phil, which I absolutely love. I love seeing a bullish Phil get out there with that smirk of his. Like, you ever seen when he's interviewing, being interviewed, and he's thinking, and he has that smirk right in the side of his mouth. That's the Phil that we all know and love. And he's shy about that. He's a very humble man. You can tell. I don't know him personally, and I never met him yet. One day. But if what I'm thinking comes to fruition, folks, there is going to be a change unlike anything we've ever seen. Like, and I have to keep reiterating the fact that up until last year's September 20th announcement that Microsoft, I mean, do you remember where you were? I do. I just visited my mom's, and I was like, Mom, peace. I got to be out. I got to do a show. This is crazy. Because, obviously I have to check on my mom every week, because that's what good sons do. And I remember sitting in my truck calling King David, and he didn't pick up, and I left him a yelling message. He'll tell you the story. It makes me laugh every time the way he says it, because it's King David. Any story he tells you is funny. And I could not believe what transpired. It's Bethesda. You're telling me that Fallout and Elder Scrolls and Castle Wolfenstein and Quake and all of these IPs are exclusive to Xbox? You mean the console that doesn't have any games? That Xbox? Well, no one thought it was possible then, and it happened. Well, folks, we are now hearing from several sources that talks have happened. Now, Jez Corden, to give him the proper credit, said that when he heard that, he cannot confirm that the talks stalled or otherwise. He hasn't heard anything. It's been quiet. That sounds like big business to me. But here is where we start to get a little bit more tasty in the conversation. And Pong and the rest of us were talking about this in the green room. Going back to why I don't believe in coincidences. It just so happens that on September 20th and 21st, Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, and the CEO of Take-Two have a sit-down interview for the state of gaming. 1 year to the day, on the same day that Bethesda was announced as a purchase that was first party. Folks, listen, the breadcrumbs are out there. You just have to be able to find the evidence. Now, again, does this confirm a purchase? No, it does not. But have we heard that Microsoft is going to purchase a Bethesda level publisher? Yes, we have. Have we heard from insiders that, that I trust, that you probably trust, saying that this could in fact come to fruition? Yes, we have. It just so happens that this meeting was announced recently. Wow. Same day as last year's big Bethesda announcement. Again, it's just Boom saying, I don't believe in coincidences. Pong Soul, the evidence has been produced. Do we convict on this? Or do we need some more? Do we need to bring in more witnesses to the conversation?
Well, Boom, in the courts, in the courthouse in Speculation Town, right? We don't need solid evidence. Okay,
that is very true. Only in Speculation Town.
Only in Speculation Town. You only need a whisper for it to be true. So let's go with this. When it comes to this, first things first. There is nothing off the table when it comes to Microsoft and Xbox acquisitions. Outside of outright purchasing Sony Corp or Nintendo, I don't think we can disregard anything at this point. Sure, there are things that make sense and there are things that don't make sense, but at the same time, I think when it comes to where Satya is and where Phil is at, and obviously where the investors and the board is at, nothing's off the table. There should not be. You can scoff, you can roll your eyes at this kind of rumor. However, at the end of the day, the possibility is there. When you look at it from a business standpoint, it's a company in Take-Two Interactive that is a moneymaker. So from an investment standpoint, Satya and his board were looking at this, right? You're talking about probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 million or 25 billion, I should say, to buy Take-Two Interactive. They've got about
their current worth as
Yeah.
of yesterday morning. I didn't check today because it was $17.7 billion in market cap. If you wanted
this
to know
morning it was 18.6, I think it was. So,
and you know why?
I wonder why it's gone up.
I wonder why, Mav. There you go. Boom has done it. Where is my cut? That's
right here it goes. Know. It's just from the start of the show. Boom. So no, they between prime time and this morning actually. But so it's an investment standpoint because you're looking at 25 billion. That's not chump change, even to Microsoft. That is something that would have to be considered. That is something that you'd have to see returns on. Now their revenue over the past 3 years has been running. Again, we're right in about the 3.5 billion range. Their gross profits are like 1.8 billion. So again, it is a money maker from a business standpoint. So from investment, it looks okay. Like it's something that you definitely get your returns on over time. So therefore you can't count it out there. Now, where I have some questions is how would they slot into Microsoft's or Xbox's, I should say, overall plans, especially moving forward with Game Pass and that being the vehicle to their success. They don't put out the games like they used to. Okay, they don't have when Xbox looked at ZeniMax and the partnership they had developed over time. ZeniMax, and I say ZeniMax because it includes everybody, including Bethesda, obviously. But ZeniMax as a whole has a bunch of studios and teams that are putting out content on a regular basis. They have a good pacing when it comes to content. Xbox could sit back and slot those different teams in over the course of the next 3 years with Game Pass and say, okay, we're going to have this content added to Game Pass, which is huge. Again, that's what Game Pass is all about. If you don't have consistent content, if you don't have a diversity of content, then you don't have a platform. That's why Netflix goes out and gets all these different people to make movies for them and TV shows, because they have to have that diversity and that steady flow. Take-Two does not have a steady flow outside of, NBA 2K, obviously, their WWE series, that kind of stuff that's on a regular basis. But when you're talking about Rockstar, obviously we have not seen a Grand Theft Auto now in nearly a decade. So, and I don't think we're going to for quite some more time, but they're still making money. But I just don't know if that fits into what Xbox is looking for Game Pass from a content standpoint. Now, on the flip side of that, what you are doing is you're securing one of the biggest chips in the current industry, right? You're securing a franchise that has sold 50 million copies of its last iteration.
As of this, I checked last night. They have surpassed 150 million units sold since 2013, which, by the way, they're going to add to that when you talk about the PlayStation 5 and, of course, Xbox Series editions coming this holiday.
Right. So you are securing one of the biggest IPs in the history of video games, right? Yes. You already have Halo, one of the biggest pillars in the video game history. Now you add another one in Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto is a pillar in the industry. It is something that forever changed the direction of the industry. And so you are securing that. You are also securing a sports franchise that is healthy. It has its problems, just like EA does with Madden. NBA 2K is not perfect, but it is healthy, and it is basically the only game going. Because if you want to play basketball, you got to play. If you want to play NBA, you got to play on NBA 2K. So you would secure two major franchises right there that could potentially, if you were to withhold them, which I'm not sure that Xbox would, but if you were to say these are going forward are now going to be console exclusive, you are going to make people make a decision, a very, very hard decision.
Can I add to what you're
Yeah.
saying? Because we
Go
talked
ahead.
about it last night, and I want to add
Go
to
ahead.
it because I want you to run down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What has Phil Spencer been bullish about saying?
Yeah.
You'll be able to play said game on wherever Xbox Game Pass exists.
Correct.
Right? You know what this says to me? You want to talk about power moves
Correct.
in the industry. What this tells me is that if this does come to fruition, if Microsoft locks down the biggest IP in the history of gaming, the greatest selling game of all time in the history of gaming, folks, I've been around 40 plus years. I'm old as dirt, and I've never seen anything potentially like this. It was Bethesda. It could be this. If you're telling me that they lock this down, you know what that tells me? That tells me that Papa Jim Ryan might have to walk back put an Xbox Game Pass on the PlayStation. The same way he walked back Generations, the same way he walked back Horizon Zero Dawn, same way he walked back games are only available on PlayStation 5. Oh, by the way, they're available on PS4. I think you turn around and you force Sony, because what Sony then has to ask themselves the question: as great as Horizon is going to be, as great as God of War is going to be, as great as a potential new Twisted Metal or Resistance or whatever Factions Part 2 turns out to be, and The Last of Us whatever, and the next Uncharted, are any of those franchises bigger than Grand Theft Auto 6? The answer is no effing way they are.
Right.
Correct. Does that force Sony to make a move?
And that would be the ultimate question. It'd be the same thing all over again that we went through with ZeniMax purchase times 10, right? It would be all over again. Again, I can't see them. I would imagine that Grand Theft Auto Online would continue to exist on PlayStation. It is one of the main drivers. It is one of the main money makers, and just like ESO and just like all these other games that are online, they would continue to exist where they currently are. But going forward, any standalone new games like a Grand Theft Auto 6 would be exclusive to Xbox. That is something, like you just got done saying, Boom, would make people stop in their tracks over on the Sony side and say, they would seriously have to consider, what are we going to do here? Are we going to allow Xbox onto our platform, and understanding that it is a service, understanding that it is a different ecosystem, but we take our cut, but we allow our players to have access to this game so that our players can continue to, live in our own ecosystem without having to make that change or forced change over to Xbox. That would be the biggest consideration. The other consideration here, I think, is if this is even being talked about, if there are talks, that means that Take-Two is in the mood to sell. This is not a hostile takeover by any stretch of the imagination, and never would be. So this means that Take-Two is interested in selling. And if that's the case, then there are other players involved. If that's the case, then there are other people who could jump into this, which would mean that Phil, from his standpoint, being the guy who wants to preserve the industry, wants to preserve the history, has to look at it, the potential of a Tencent walking in, buying Take-Two.
Yes.
And that's a no-go for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And I think that would be the other consideration here, that if this is happening, that we have to see that Take-Two would be looking for a suitor. And out of all the suitors that have the potential to buy them, there's only a few. There's only maybe a handful at this point. Who do you want?
Google, you have Apple,
Amazon,
Amazon.
That's it. Who do you want to own them? If they're going to sell, no matter what, at the end of the day, who do you want to have control over the Grand Theft Auto series?
Yeah,
right, Microsoft. At the end of the day, and I think that's the other part of this. That if true, and again, this is a big if. That would be where this came from, is that the big players, since there's so few of them, all would know that Take-Two was interested in selling, and Phil would have gone to Satya and go, look, we can't have somebody else scoop up Take-Two. There's no way. Those IPs are way too important to the industry. We're not going to have somebody else scoop them up. So we got to move in on this. And I think that's where this could be almost a hand that was forced, not necessarily that Xbox, was actively looking at Take-Two, but if it came down to it, they weren't going to allow somebody else to jump in and then leave the entire industry, all gamers across the board, in a position where they didn't know what was going to happen to one of the biggest franchises in the history. So I think that would be where this came from, if this turns out to be true. But it would be it would be a changer. It would be an industry shaking move. ZeniMax was an industry shaking move. This is even bigger than that. Like you said, Boom, we had heard about these rumors that there was the potential that they were working on something bigger. Of course, we went through the whole Sega thing. We went through the whole Capcom. We went through all of that.
WB.
Never once thinking about Take-Two, because again, they would have to want to sell. They're not a hurting company. They're in a position of power. They would have to, for whatever reason, want to sell for this to happen, because they aren't a struggling company like Ubisoft is. They're not so this makes sense on some levels. On some levels, I still got to question it, but man, would it be earth shattering. The internet would break down. I don't think you'd be able to log into Twitter for about 3 months afterwards. I think there would be, like I said, take the ZeniMax deal and all the questions and all the podcasts and all the YouTube videos and all the articles written and times it by 10, maybe even times it by 100 if this goes down, because that's how big a move this is.
Real quick, I got to catch up with some of the super chats. Let me just read those real quick. And I'm going to pose this question to Mav next, because I have another piece of evidence that has come across my desk that basically, I don't know how better it could be. Now, again, this is on Twitter. I understand that there is Photoshop, but it just looks so authentic that I will present my evidence next. Raiden Blade, who's dropped quite a few super chats. Raiden, thank you so much for the ridiculous support. He drops an additional £2 super chat and says, "Straight to your phone only worked on Windows Phone." Yeah, it's talking about the share stuff. Yeah, that's a shame. Drawn TJ, generous friend of the show, drops an additional $10 super chat and says, if they do get Take-Two, they can bring back Midnight Club, the arcade racing game, which is a hidden gem. Yeah, you know what? I've been saying that Gotham, Project Gotham Racing should be that third one. That give them the team 3 years, kind of like they do with Call of Duty, except with racers. I'd love to see Project Gotham, but that's a good one as well. Raiden Blades drops an additional £2 super chat and says they need to bring back Mixer, better service. Yeah, Mixer, it had its own problems. I was very surprised by the purchase, and then the closure. Honestly, for me, was not surprising. But they tried. Listen, I've tried other shows that failed, and you know what you do? You pick up your ball and you go home and you kind of try and rework it. Raiden Blade drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "I have achievements. I remember MK WCP WUPC. The director head pops up. What if Phil Spencer pops up? Well done." Oh my God, you still can't catch me. I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, when he's come out and say toasty. Yeah, I remember that. That's way back in the days. And this is where Raiden Blade drops an additional outstanding £5 super chat. This is boom. Microsoft currently has $200 billion in cash to spend, and they must spend it before the next financial reset. I can see Take-Two and Paradox Publications being acquired. Yeah, and you're definitely on to something with that. But here is my next evidence, and of course, I'm going to present this to Mav. Mav, according to Twitter poster, and I'm going to tell you who it is right now. His name is Psycho Baker Perfect in Dark. That is his tag name. It's NLIO capital OGGIER on Twitter. Now, he posted two pictures, one of which the infamous, and I say infamous or infamous, whichever one you want to go with, Games Beat Summit 2021 picture of Phil Spencer's shelf. That's right, Phil Spencer's shelf. And on the same shelf that they have the Kojima statue, off to the right, politely packed away. And again, folks, I'm looking at the picture. My God, it looks real. I could be wrong. I could be bamboozled on my own live show. but god damn it, it looks real. On the right-hand side, on that shelf, there just so happens to be the Red Dead Redemption 2 collector's box, which was red, and it came with a whole bunch of goodies, including a gold coin and a puzzle and a bandana and playing cards. And that red box is sitting off to the right-hand side. Evidence D, as you will. Now, we have heard, and Phil himself has even discussed it openly, that everything on the shelf means something or another. Is this another damning piece of evidence that tells us this, in fact, this bigger than life acquisition could happen? What are your thoughts, Mav?
Maybe. If you want to go to speculation town and hunt for little eggs, well, I'll give you another one. All right. Okay. So y'all remember several months ago when Take-Two was doing their earnings call, and they mentioned the fact that they were looking forward to the future of the Outer Worlds franchise that they have control of. And there's like, oops. The next day they came out and said, oh, actually, sorry, my Xbox has control of that. Like, they forgot that they don't own the rights to Outer Worlds anymore somehow, all of a sudden. They forgot that that was Obsidian's, so it's
folks, real quick, if you look at the screen, I put it up on the screen share. Look off to the right.
Yeah.
Right. Look.
I see it.
You see the red box. Well, here I'm gonna bring up the picture again. Let me go into, of course.
And that's not Photoshop either, because there's other photos of that out there. Like, yeah.
There you go. Here it is, full screen for you. There is the box that's off to the right-hand side. Now, is this more damning evidence? I honestly don't know, but that was a great find. I mean, coincidental. See, I don't believe in coincidences when it comes to big business, specifically when it comes to Xbox. But please, by all means, Mav, continue.
I would like, Boom, can you go back one more picture and go back to the shelf?
Oh yeah, sure. Hold on just a second. Let me just
let's bring the shelf back up.
All right, let me pause the Dirt 5 footage. Let's bring the other picture up. Here we go. Screen share. Let me just do this. Video file. No, not video file, but okay. Screen share. Stop sharing. Okay, here we go. Chrome tab. Boom. Here we go.
All right, cool. Okay, so what do we know? All right, so we got the Kojima statue as well, right?
Yes.
That has been like pretty much ironclad now that there's a game coming from Kojima that they're working with, and that's from multiple sources, not just one, right? And that they were working on that contract. Supposedly it's like pretty much in the bag, right? If you pay attention to that, then you also say, hey, the box, right? But then there's just like all these other things, man. I don't know. Like, what do we make of these shelves? Like, you got the box, you got
he's got a Titanfall 1 controller on the sitting in the middle of there's 6 controllers there. There's an orange one on top. The one on the bottom is because I own that controller. It's one of my favorite controllers. I don't use it very often because I don't want to ruin it. That was maybe confirming that not we're getting an exclusive Titanfall, but the fact that we have EA Play in Xbox Game Pass. You do have the Skull, collector's edition from Watch Dogs on the back. That could be indicative of the announcement this year that Ubisoft Plus is coming to Xbox Game Pass. That has been rumored for quite some time. Obviously, the Nintendo Switch, we had thought that meant basically Game Pass on Switch, but Microsoft has come out and said, well, both Sony and Nintendo don't want it there. And that makes sense. That makes sense. You're starting to invoke in on their own personal digital business. So I definitely understand it. But again, coincidence that this collector's edition is there. And back then, no one gave it a thought. No one even looked into it. but this Twitter user did. And now I'm starting to say, wow, maybe he's onto something.
Yeah, there's a lot of things out there like this, right? I remember my buddy Psychonauts, also from our Xbox Ultimate podcast, has sent me this tweet that somebody had posted with a rumor of Take Two Interactive about a month ago, I think, and it was an article that
That's
was
from June,
written.
if I remember. Yes.
And it was an article that was written, and it was basically like a bunch of connecting the dots type stuff. There was no like real info in there for me other than just that person's speculation, but they were putting it across like it was like, hey, this is happening. You know what I mean? So with that article, which was very rumory, plus also this other stuff, there's a lot of smoke. But I don't know how much spark there is, right? The spark has to come from Take Two if they want to sell, like Pong said. And the thing is, with these public companies like that, usually things get out more than this kind of stuff when it's such a public company. Because if there's an actual offer made, I think it has to be disclosed to the shareholders, right?
Correct.
So if there is something there, it's early in just the talks phase. Now, that being said, these huge deals have happened before with major corporations and stuff that's caught everybody by surprise, right? So I don't know how those things happen without anybody knowing, according to all these rules that they're supposed to be following. But I remember even the Discovery Plus thing was like all of a sudden it's a big announcement, right? The Discovery Warner Brothers thing with AT&T, right? All of a sudden it's a big announcement. So it's really interesting. I don't know
I mean,
how
the
these things
AT&T
come
deal
together.
literally just fell out of thin air.
It was
It just
weird
like we
because
woke up one morning. Oh, by the way, they own it. Hey, a perfect example: T-Mobile buying Sprint. Literally, I got an email saying, "Hey, Sprint users, welcome to T-Mobile." I'm like, "What? What happened?" And then we hear it on the news later on. So these deals of this size can go. I mean,
under
just
the
because
radar.
we're in the business of talking about rumors and speculation, we're hip to it, but the average consumer, remember, we're 15% of the populace. We're the minority, not the majority, when it comes to gaming. And we're all in. We're neck deep into this shit.
Yeah.
But not everyone is.
So I'm going to assume that these just for the sake of conversation, right? For the sake of speculation town, for the sake of having fun with this, I'm going to assume that there's validity to the rumors, right? And because I want to think about what does this mean? Now we know that Xbox is in the business of acquiring right now, right?
Yeah.
We know they're growing. They're in this building up Game Pass as the platform for Xbox phase. The more content there, the better. Also, the other thing is if you are looking to add a substantial amount of content to Game Pass and you know that other companies aren't necessarily going to be willing to bring them out to your platform day one, which is what you want, you may have to go out there and acquire said companies. And you also may want to make those games exclusive to your platform. Now, if you're doing so, does it make sense to go around and buy a bunch of smaller studios all over the place that you have to micromanage? Or does it make more sense to get a larger company that can self-sustain, already has their way of operations that you already have a relationship with, and that they can kind of handle themselves just under your umbrella? That is what they did with Bethesda. Bethesda was a private company, so the acquisition is a little bit more smooth and easier process. But as far as the Take Two, like there's not, if they want to go big now, they want to go big and bring in what was rumored before to be the next acquisition potentially could be bigger than the Bethesda one. That's what people were saying, and everybody went with okay, Ubisoft or who is it? Who's bigger? Valve. There's all these rumors out there. You know what? If you cut down everything, Take Two makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're getting a lot of things. You're not only getting GTA and all those things, you're also getting Private Division, right? Who is become a really good publisher within that Take Two fold, where they have done Outer Worlds. They've done. They actually have a game coming from Moon Studios, the makers of Ori, I believe. They published Hades. right? So Private Division would come along for that ride. So there's a lot to like about the possibility of this. With
And Mav, we get XCOM for Axis.
and XCOM, and yes. So there's so much stuff. Like the possibilities are endless if something like this happens, and that's what makes me happy, because whenever the Bethesda thing happened, my first thought wasn't like, oh great, this is awesome, we get these games exclusive on Xbox, because I was going to get them either way. My thought was, what's the new possibilities of living in this world now where Bethesda is part of Xbox? Like, what are the different kind of games that can be made now because of Xbox's IP joining, and studios joining forces with Bethesda's IP and studios, right? And that, if this happened as well, I would be thinking about the possibilities of what that world looks like going forward with these games coming to Game Pass day one. But what kind of games are we going to get going forward with the kind of studios that they have? Like, because they have a lot of great talent, they have a lot of great studios. You're talking about a Rockstar, one of the friggin' best devs out there, right? You're talking about Firaxis, who is the tactics leader, and you talk about games like they're already making deals with Marvel for Midnight Suns, right? And all these other things. You talk about what deals are they going to bring into the fold? If this thing happens, you're right. It's going to send earth-shattering, industry-shaking waves, and everything will be different going forward. Companies will be making decisions on their future based on that happening, right? So I think we're going to see something from Xbox with a large publisher in the future soon, maybe in the
Yeah.
next year or two. If it was this one, it would make me happy. Now, if there's other publishers too, it would make me happy, right? So, but the possibilities of this are kind of crazy when you actually think about it, because this was one that I just never would have assumed that they would have any reason to want to sell to anybody, because they're doing well, and for me,
Well,
I
you
would
know what
think
it
they're
is.
more
They're,
in
they're not doing as
growth.
well. They're not doing as well as you think. And here's the reason why. They're making money with GTA Online, but the problem that some of the investors might be having is they're not putting out a lot of games, especially in
Yeah.
I mean, 2K has had its controversies. Obviously, we're still waiting on a BioShock. The BioShock, I'm not BioShock, Borderlands leader. Not the greatest guy you want representing your brand. He's a bit of a frat boy, and he's constantly getting himself in a little bit of trouble. So maybe people they're just tired. Maybe they want to sell. Maybe they want to just get rid of the business.
Well,
I honestly don't know.
the other thing too, Boom, if right, the phase that this industry is in now for gaming,
It's a consolidation.
it's a
In a
consolidation
phase. Yeah,
phase,
100%.
and companies are going for well above market value when these acquisitions are happening, right? Well above market value when these acquisitions. So if Take Two is right now 18 something, it wouldn't surprise me if the actual going price, if they put themselves up there and are negotiating, ended up going for 30 billion. It wouldn't surprise me, because they're not just acquiring these companies for what the value is today. They're acquiring for the potential for
Well,
the future,
it's a
and that's how
long
these
game.
things
We've
happen.
always talked about it. Specifically, Pong has always talked about that. For Microsoft, it's not the quick win. It's the long game, and at the center of Microsoft's business, ideology, Game Pass. Of course, they want to sell you the console, but you know what? They wouldn't have invested as much as they did into cloud gaming if that wasn't going to be a main focus. And Microsoft, again, I think Phil has even said it numerous times, that as great as they want to sell you a console and they want you to go out and buy their consoles, they have made it a way that everyone that plays on Xbox can play wherever they want. And I think that is the ultimate. That's the ultimate win for them. And what do you need to sell your service? Well, like Netflix, you have to make all these different. Every week you turn on, every Friday when Mrs. Boom and I come through the door, we're looking to see what jumped onto Hulu that's new, what's new on Disney Plus, what's new on Netflix, what's new on Amazon Prime, because that's where we have our investments. That's where we get a lot of our entertainment. In order to have people keep coming back and paying the service, you need to provide entertainment. And wow, talk about a way to get people's eyebrows attention. And this is, see, again, we're talking the inside baseball. We have almost 250 people here. We're all the diehards, right? We're all the fanatics when it comes to the industry. We understand the inning workings, but maybe the average person, the normie, doesn't understand that. But you know what the normie does understand? 2K basketball. You know what the
Yeah.
normie understands? Grand Theft Auto. Two IPs that when you said to someone that buys one game per year or two games per year, almost guaranteed, besides Call of Duty, it's a 2K game. And anytime a Grand Theft Auto comes out, you add that to Xbox's exclusives, you have changed the industry forever.
And boom. Also, the other thing is, right, we keep saying that Phil is even alluded to the fact that Nintendo, PlayStation, they don't want Game Pass on their platforms, right? What is one way to get Game Pass on all platforms, which is their ultimate goal? They want to have Game Pass everywhere. That's what their ultimate. People think that's crazy, but that's what they want. They actually want to do. The one way of doing that is making it a necessity. So if you have some of the biggest franchises that used to be on your platform now exclusive to that Game Pass platform and Xbox, you may be at some point, due to strong arming from Microsoft, end up having to look at it and think, okay, maybe we need to allow that on our platform and work with them and allow what Xbox says. They're not going to do it unless it's the full experience, right? That maybe at some point you got to give to make sure that you can keep your customers happy, right? So that's a lot of reasons these talks are happening. If you think about the future of Xbox and where they're going, it's not just hearsay. It's because they want to do these kind of things. It's just curious of what the company's going to be, whether it's 2K, whether it's Ubisoft, whether it's Sega, Capcom, Namco, Bandai, whoever it is,
all
it's
of
going to be
them.
a big one.
All of
Valve, let's go.
I mean, listen, they have the money to do it. So, I mean, listen, again, we're closing in on the 1 hour and 45-minute mark, folks. So we're gonna give you a solid 2-hour show before we get everyone to outros. Back from the dead, let's get your opinion. You've heard Pong, you've heard myself, you heard Mav. Where do you fall on the potential? And again, right, folks, this is straight up a rumor, but we do have some, some things that seem to be like checking the boxes for me as someone to be like, well, maybe it's a little bit more than a rumor, maybe not a guarantee. Where do you fall with all of the speculation in regards to Microsoft potentially purchasing Take-Two Interactive?
Well, they definitely have the money to do it, especially for a company that's valued at about $2 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have that much cash on hand, they need to spend it. They're definitely in the market to buy more companies. Satya Nadella has already talked about that he would rather buy a company at this point than create another. Just blanked on the name of the studio that they built from the ground up.
Oh, you're talking about the initiative?
Yeah, the initiative. Thank you. Yeah, that's a lot easier to buy a company than to build one from scratch.
Correct. Yes, he did in fact say that. Yes.
And if the rumors are correct that he's sitting down and talking to Take-Two's, all of their employees, that he's interested in buying them, or he's not sitting down with them just to have coffee. For example, he went over to Japan to shake hands with developers. It's not a coincidence that right after he did that, all the Yakuza games popped up on Game Pass. So definitely, if he's talking to them, he's in the market for it, which would be fantastic because you've got great open world games like Grand Theft Auto, and there's several titles in that franchise. We recently just heard that GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas are looking to come back as remakes. So that would be great titles to add to it. If you're playing games like that, you're investing a lot of time into those long open world games and the online aspect of it as well. With GTA Online, Red Dead Online, a lot of people spend money in microtransactions in ththose games. When I looked at it, the even as far as a while back, they said they made $500 million in microtransactions alone
Ridiculous.
in a year.
Yeah.
So the monetization structure is definitely there to make your money back in those online experiences. And it didn't, in Red Dead Online, it didn't start out with that much content, but over time they have definitely added more content. So you're getting a fresh experiences in those online games that you get to play, where that keeps Game Pass fresh and up to date. If they would buy those games and those developers, and definitely as far as having a large publisher that already runs it, you can easily pick them up and say, okay, we're going hands off. We just want to help you guys do what you do even better. That they can facilitate their growth just by letting them run their own companies, much in the way that they have done so far with Bethesda. They don't really need to pull them in. Like if you pulled in a smaller company, you would have to put a publishing team on them and say, okay, well, now we have to work with you instead of you going out and finding a publisher to promote your games.
Yeah.
So it would be a fantastic ad. And for myself, it'd be great to have all those games to the platform. Now, as far as what do I think they'd all be exclusive? I don't think so personally, because of how big a lot of those franchises are.
Yeah, I think a lot of the sports games would remain multi-plat, kind of like Minecraft, simply because there is money to be made. I think that if you know, I understand that the ideology with Microsoft is to get to, let's say, Disney Plus levels, 100 million subscribers plus, right? But Grand Theft Auto, that's one of the single player games that you lock behind your paywall for your box. You know, you want to play it on Windows, not a problem. You want to play it on Xbox, not a problem. But this is the only place you're going to play it, and you know, through Xbox Game Pass on any device that allows Xbox Game Pass. That's something that you definitely you lock down behind the hey, it's only on the Xbox Game Pass. Sorry, we paid $25 billion. Tough titty. If you can't play it on PlayStation, sorry, but not sorry. You know what I'm saying? The fun Phil Spencer shirt. Look, all I can say is everyone has made great points. Complete speculation town. We don't have any. Again, this is fun. This is fun talk.
Well, and I think Boom, at the end of the day too, I think one of the biggest takeaways is, we've seen Phil now, taking meetings with Gabe, and
yes.
now Strauss. Phil is out here for the first time in a long time in the open, starting to build relationships with some of the biggest players in this industry. And I think this goes, at the end of the day, even if there's no purchase or even if there hasn't been any acquisition talks, I think at the end of the day, we can safely say that Phil is trying his darndest to be out here with the biggest players in the industry, spreading the word of what Xbox is doing and what his vision is, to be able to play what you want, where you want, whenever you want, on whatever device you have. And I think that's the biggest thing, that we're going to see this, maybe not right away, and a deal this big probably is going to take quite a long time. I can't imagine how many moving parts there are in this thing. But at the end of the day, no matter what, down the road, 2 years, 3 years, we might start seeing some fruits of this. Sony's been throwing around the money bag for a long time, and so is Xbox. Xbox does the same thing. They throw around the money bag. But these personal relationships that Phil's developing with these key people in the industry, we're going to see 2-3 years down the road come to fruition, when maybe, Xbox Game Pass starts seeing some sweetheart deals from some games that we never thought would show up, or that had been, we heard them come out before. Take-Two's come out before. Rockstar's come out before. It said, we don't think, Strauss himself came out and said, we don't think that, big big titles necessarily, have any place on Game Pass. It's not viable. It's not worth it, blah, blah, blah. Maybe that attitude changes as Phil gets out here and starts really, really connecting with these people. And we see that down the road. I think that could be a big thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. Listen, folks, but what a fantastic show to start your Tuesday. Hopefully, we help people at work get through it. There was one particular knucklehead who will remain nameless because, we shouldn't give shout outs to a-holes that really wanted to be seen. He must have dropped about 15 posts. And obviously, listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just feel that when you put yourself out there to simply be heard, and you're listening to a show that you dislike, folks, I'm gonna tell you this right now. If whatever I'm saying bothers you by the sound of my voice, the way I laugh, anybody on the panel, unsubscribe, bro. Like straight up. Like you don't owe me a dime. You don't owe me anything. But I always find it very suspect that someone would take the time to spend 2 hours of their day listening to a show only to go into and start fighting with the chat. I mean, you got to ask yourself a question. Like, I'm not going to start calling names because I'm a 51-year-old man, for Christ's sake. I don't do that, the schoolyard nonsense. You got to ask yourself, man, what are you doing with yourself that you are wasting time that could be valuably spent doing something else that you love, and you're hanging out and listening to something you hate? I'm perplexed by this. I've never understood. If I listen to something and I don't like it, I don't even hit the down button because I'm a content creator, so I don't want to hurt nobody. I just don't come back.
I think it was your sprint car driving that did it. Boom. It pushed him over the edge. After the sprint cars, I get mad just watching you drive in the sprint cars because I know how frustrating they are.
Dude, let me tell you something right now. I've had that video. I'm not taking down this video. Rick Payne had me dying. He's like, boom, that driving though. He's 100% right. But you know what? I dare you. I dare anybody to try and drive those sprint cars. They're terrible. And yes, maybe I drive like a lunatic, but you know something? This lunatic comes in first place, and that's all that freaking matters. Anyway,
as great as Dirt 5 is, I don't know how those made it into the game.
Sprint cars are by far they're worse than clown cars.
Donuts.
They're worse than clown cars. Okay. But folks, thank you so much for hanging out. He says drunk driving simulator. So why so serious? I love it. That's great. And no, I did not used to drive the popo cars like this. I didn't want to legitimately hurt anybody, so I was very faithful for my driving. I drove fast, but if you don't get there, you can't help people. So only in gaming did I drive like this lunacy, if you will. Folks, thank you so much for being here. A big shout out to all of the super chats that came out. I think might have missed one or two. Let me just see if I can catch up. I know we had a few more. Yeah, we had a $10 one come from Raiden Blade. Wow, dude, a £10 super chat. He says, don't forget Minecraft after being bought never changed a thing. It continued and no Minecraft 2 now by Take-Two and do nothing, leave GTA. Yeah, basically what he's saying is even if they came out with a Minecraft 2, it would be multi-plat. And I think that with GTA, I still think that's one that you lock behind the thing. If you spend that kind of money, you gotta take the best of the best of the best and say, yeah, you can only play it here. Because what that does is, well, look what happened with The Mandalorian, right? Perfect example. I'll just extend the podcast another 2 minutes. When Disney Plus came out, right, 40 plus million, right? People were like, well, that's pretty good. 44 million, that's awesome. The minute the previews came out for The Mandalorian, it went over 100 million in a couple of weeks. Like, people were like, yo, Star Wars is back. That Filoni-verse is legit. I'm all in, right? And if you start adding, once the Microsoft first party games hit, and I'm talking about, the Avowed and the Fables and the Perfect Darks and the Halos and the Forza Motorsport and Horizon and the rest of their incredible first party lineup that we know of what's coming. When those start hitting, when the Bethesda games keep hitting, like the next Elder Scrolls and the next Fallout, and it's exclusive, you're going to see a jump up in sales, no doubt. But when you can add Grand Theft Auto 6 to the conversation, say only on Xbox Game Pass and PC, you're gonna quadruple your subs almost instantly. People are gonna be like, "Yo, $15 a month, I'm all in, folks." Definitely. But once again, thank you so much for being here. Big shout out to the near 300 people we had today. Thank you for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. If you're new and you'd like to support this channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the like button on your way out. If you want to take your support further and help us finance the giveaways that Mrs. BoomStick and I do a couple of times a year. Obviously, channel membership, $5 and $10 get you custom badges and, of course, custom emojis. And, of course, if you drop a super chat, you will potentially you get an extra entry into all of the giveaways, and you get a better shot at winning one of the big prizes. But thank you so much for being here. We thank our guests. Back from the dead, brother. Thank you. Great to work with you today. Please tell everyone what you got going on and where can people reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here again. Great to be here with you, Mav and Pong Soul. If you want to find me, you can find me at Back from the Dead 1 on Twitter and Twitch. And there's a pinned tweet on my Twitter profile. You can get to my YouTube channel. And if you want to talk to me on Xbox Live or PSN, it's Back from Dead 1. On Twitch and YouTube, I stream multiple variety of games from all the platforms I play on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and on PC. Mostly Xbox, though. But yeah, thanks again for having me on. Hope everybody has a great day and has fun gaming.
Thanks, brother. Definitely appreciate that. And Mav, once again, thank you for stepping up for 3-Bit and, of course, our good brother Zemi Games, who could not be with us, be here with us today. Of course, they will be returning next week. Mav, please tell everyone about where can people reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, about the Magnificent Seven on Friday evenings. And what else? I know you also have another amazing show, your pop culture show, which I think is really good. Talk about everything that is pop culture. Talk about your 2 shows and where can people support your YouTube channel.
Absolutely, Boom. Fun topics today. Fun discussion. Pong back. It was awesome, guys, as well. Check out Fun Speculation on YouTube, where we have our podcast Xbox Ultimate on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time right now. I keep getting corrected. Sorry. Eastern Daylight Time currently right now. Whatever. 9 p.m. ET. Also, Wednesday is Fun Pop at 10 p.m. That ET thing. And also, we have something else coming in the future. It's probably going to be on Saturdays. I haven't figured out exactly all the details, so keep in tune for that. But yeah, we with the Magnificent on Friday nights is kind of what we're the staple of of our channel right now is Xbox Ultimate Podcast. That's with the Magnificent 7, which includes the one and only encyclopedia of gaming dating back to the very first game ever made, Pong Soul. And we have 5 other amazing people there. My wife, Caitlin, who was making fun of me in the chat earlier, and 3-Bit, Psychonauts, Assassin Lupa, Lady AF. If I missed somebody, I'm sorry, but yeah, we have a blast on Friday night. So come check that out. If you like what you see, hit the like, share, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate anybody who even just stops by to check out our content. So also you can always catch me there gaming all the time. So thanks, Boom.
Thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate you being here, as always, supporting, helping me grow this channel. Hopefully, you will see the same exact growth on yours, because what you guys do over there is just phenomenal. And Pong Soul, my brother from another, thank you for being here, as always. Tell everyone where they could reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, talk about Steel Rain and your podcast, Living Split Screen, Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. And Boom is always there in the chat, listening while he's making breakfast for Mr. and Mrs. Boom.
Yeah, awesome show, Boom. Love spending time at Speculation Town. That's one of my favorite parts of this. So this was great. Obviously, awesome to have back on here for the first time. Back, awesome job in what you're doing, man. Keep doing it. You're going to continue to grow, and we'll probably see you more places. Mav, brother from another, great to see you, sir. As always. But no, this is an awesome show. Chat, you guys were absolutely incredible. And we can't do what we do without you. Phenomenal to see the same people here and new people showing up at all times. This community is crazy in the best kind of way. Absolutely love you all. Nothing but respect. And you guys can find me, Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter. Otherwise, Friday nights over on Fun Speculations channel, as he just talked about at the Xbox Ultimate with the Magnificent Seven, and we'll see you there on Friday nights. Saturday mornings, my brother from another, Steel Rain, and I are on episode, what are we on, episode 24 this week, I believe.
Wow,
it is.
that's great,
Yeah,
man.
crazy.
Great.
It's just flying by, but that's living split screen. Split screen is all one word. We get you up in the morning, like Boom said. You guys can be doing whatever you do in the mornings, get your chores done, cook your breakfast, chill out. Have us on in the background.
Works.
That's right. Steele and I are going to bring you 2.5, 3, 4
5,
hours
10, 15 hours
of craziness. But come check us out there. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time, living split screen. We're having a great time, just him and I. Get the chat involved, so come check us out there. And then Saturday nights, the Shop Podcast with PTK, Blam, Centurion, Fuzzy Belvedere, and maybe the return of Staggerilla. We will see, but that's Saturday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, 6 p.m. Arizona time, as PTK always says. So we will check you out there Saturday nights. Otherwise, everybody get out there and play games. There is so much to do right now. It is crazy. Golden age of gaming is here. Play what you love what you play, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Absolutely. Real quick, Danny Passion Official drops an outstanding $2 of jet and says, Boom, please read my super chat. And indeed, brother, thank you for the generosity, Danny. And also thank you so much for helping support Double Barrel Games. So anyway, please, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And I think now more than ever, it's super important, but more important than even that, it's relevant to the world. Please treat others how you want to be treated. Also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week. We'll see you this Thursday on the newest edition of the Xbox Factor podcast. Take care, everyone. See you later.